Bree. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of this project. It should be a relatively short project, and I know we went through some of the information, but I wanted to show you the content directly and give you some tips for saving time, since I know you only have about 10 hours a week to work on this. Although that should be plenty. I don't think it'll even take you that long to write it. So what I'm going to send you is the course content working doc. And the only part that we are writing is Module 1 right here. So on the very first page, you'll see kind of the purpose behind the course itself, who the audience is going to be, and it's important to note that the distributors and reps that they have already passed what's called the WSET or WITSET Level 2, which means they should be relatively familiar with all of the information that we're going to cover in Module 1. So all we want to do is make this a refresher module. We don't want to actually go into extensive detail. We're trying to keep this as short and sweet as possible because the main focus of this course are the modules that we're not writing but that you'll be editing later. And that's modules 2 and 3, where we actually talk about the client's company, where they got their start, and their wine, and so on, which of course is located in Burgundy. So in short, this first section that you'll be writing, the whole purpose of it is to provide a foundation on which to build the information for module 2 and 3, so that they at least know and are reminded enough of the basics of Burgundy to where they can appreciate the client's product. Having said that, I've already fleshed out the topics and the learning objectives, so I think these will be helpful to you. I've also provided some notes to the side here that you'll also find in the content below. So let's go ahead and go there to Module 1, and you can click this. So here's Module 1. You'll write an introduction once you've already written all the content, because we want to make sure that the introduction is brief but also specific to the content itself. So I would start by looking at the learning objectives, which we're trying to achieve, and I've put the lesson number where the information is covered next to it. And you'll notice that I've got some notes. So if you click on any of the highlighted parts, you'll notice that I've got some notes down here, and those notes will be found in the content as well. Lesson 1.1, you're going to cover the location and wine regions very briefly. This content was just pulled from another course that we did, so I haven't done anything to edit it. But what I did want to point out is that we want to keep the discussion of the main wine growing regions as short and sweet as possible, so you might not end up having to add anything to this particular part right here. However, down in this part, you'll find that I've got little brackets built in, like right here, and then right here, where I'm specifically saying we need a section on this topic or this topic, and then I try to explain it enough to where you'll know what to look for when you're researching the information and what to focus on when you're writing it. But I will emphasize again, we want it to be as short and sweet as possible, just an overview, just the most important facts. These little squares here, the text boxes, you don't need to worry about those. I put a note in there for our clients to write that part because it's not specific to our section, it's specific to their product. 1.2 is about terroir, and terroir is going to be important because this is what Burgundy wine is based on. So there's a couple sections here that really don't have anything written. You'll notice there's a lot more brackets here, but I gave you little prompts to kind of get you started. So anything in brackets is where you just need to expand on an existing paragraph or create a new paragraph. And I will mention that this discussion, the climats, I don't know enough about it to guide you, so you can use your best judgment. What I will say is our clients have mentioned a couple times that climats need to be discussed in the terroir and topography section, But then you'll find, and I wrote a little note there as well, that there's another prompt to write about it in the appellation structure section that we'll go through in just a minute, because there's two different points to cover. So in this part, when you talk about it, you're going to be focusing specifically on topography. And then soil, this is pretty much, done, except for just some basic information about the way that it was formed, each of these types of soil, historically and geographically, and then some of the benefits, the basic benefits. And we'll portray that in a brief table. And in this section, there's only one little part that, I didn't know if there's anything else we needed to add there. So I'll let you kind of look into that. Okay, and then in the climate section, there's a lot here already that I pulled from another course to kind of save you time. There's some blanks that I didn't know what to, how many hours to put in and so forth. They want this section to be extremely short if possible, so it probably won't get much longer than this. What I need you to do mainly is to just, check what is the annual average of sunshine, the temperature in the winter, in the summer, rainfall, frost, hail, and so on. And then what are the benefits associated with those things and grape growing. The other thing that I think might be important that I don't have here, and I think I'll go ahead and add a column, would be the challenges that might be presented. Like if what happens if there's frost and so on and so forth. So adding some bullet points associated with those would also be really helpful. And of course, check the information that's there. The next section is grape varieties. And again, this will be relatively short and sweet. It's going to be real easy to go into too much detail in this part. So just kind of keep track of what's, extremely important about each grape variety, what a general overview of it might be versus going into extraordinary detail on each. Luckily, there's only two main grape varieties, and then there's some other grapes that are smaller in percentage. This is probably where the majority of your research will come from, because we'll need some information about the percentage of, the area planted and so on and so forth. And a discussion of their characteristics and then the resulting wine style. So the grape characteristics and then the resulting wine characteristics, which might be helpful to put that. The last section is appellation structure. This is another one that could be kind of easy to go overboard on in your discussion. So hopefully the notes that I have here will kind of help you keep focused on what's really important. This is, again, that part about climats. At least I think that's how you say that. You may have already defined it up in the previous section, so I'll let you use your best judgment here. But the discussion of climats here would be more about how the segmentations in Burgundy with the climats and the other one, which is apparently called the Napoleonic inheritance laws, how that contributes to the appellation structure and the way that that was formed. And then after that, the only other thing to do is for each of the levels of their appellation structure to fill in details about the characteristics and vineyard locations. The very last thing you'll do is you'll write a quick summary. To kind of sum it up, write the sections first, the main sections first, and then come back and write the introduction, and then copy the introduction. So the introduction will go here. Then copy the introduction and paste it in the review, and then just rephrase it to be a quick review. And that's really just going to be somewhere around 3 to 5 sentences or so, introducing and then summing up what we covered. So the next step to cover would be, how are you going to research the information and find the information? Because of course I don't expect that you would know this information off the top of your head. Typically what I do is a quick search online, but I've started that for you. I'm not a big fan of Wikipedia, but every time I author one of these, I always start with Wikipedia, get the main facts that the main picture of what I want to write, and get it written in the content. And then what I'll do is I'll find, 2 or 3 additional resources to then back up the information that I found. And that usually helps me grow and expand on the beauty of the writing itself, but then also confirms the facts associated with each topic. So that's an option for you. I know everybody's got their own process, so I'm going to send you a link to the Wikipedia page for Burgundy wine. I'm also going to send you a link to burgundywines.com. And this is a really cool site because it does provide, it's not the prettiest site in the world, but it does provide some really key information and some really good stats, and it's relatively up to date. So it is specific to a certain vineyard, so you just got to ignore some of the information. So this part right here, you'll see talks about the wine growing regions and the appellations. Where it's located is right here. And then the grape varieties and colors. And then natural assets, meaning this is going to be your terroir. So you're talking about the geology and climatology and vinification and aging and so forth. So this is a really good site. Another one that's really good is Wine Folly, but it's really brief. So this is just going to give you an overview. The reason I wanted to point this one out is because the goal of what we're doing is to give an overview. So this will kind of give you a feel for what the main points might be related to some of the key topics. And then another one is Wine Searcher, which is a really good one as well. And I like this one because if you want to learn more about any piece of the writing here, then they do have links to additional information. And last but not least, Vintage Roots is always a really good one to come to because it also gives a general overview, which is what we're trying to do for this particular section of the course. So in the email that I'll send you, I will send you these links, and I'll also send you the link to this document. And in addition to that, we do have some content that was taught last year about Burgundy. I'm hesitant to send it to you, and I'm covering it last because all it is essentially is a narrated PowerPoint. So you just have the text or the notes from the instructor, and it goes into extensive detail about Burgundy as a whole and a little bit more detail than what we would want to see. I also can't confirm whether or not the stats are up to date. So I will send this to you, but I just wanted to mention that it's not my favorite resource, and you're welcome to look at it as an additional resource or use it however you'd like. But it's good to also have these resources to kind of work with as you're writing. So that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll send all this your way, as well as a contract for the work. And I'm basing that contract and the fee on about how long it would take me, plus a little more time since you're new at doing this. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.